Are you stressed and filled with anxiety like I am? Maybe in a bit of pain from that car accident you had a few years ago? Well, the sponsor of today's episode, Hempville CBD, has us covered. They have the highest quality products created by chemists and doctors. Hempville carries everything from CBD to THC dispensary grade without those despicable dispensary prices. Order your Delta 8, 9 edibles and vapes along with the THCA flower and get free shipping when you spend $50 or more at hempvillecbd.com. Check out the link in the description for more details.
Welcome to the Filmsteins, the double feature podcast. Join us as we unravel the interwoven experience of the continuous conversation of cinema. Take part in pairing movies with their cursed counterparts, movies that share DNA, or even pairing questionable duos by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $5 tier will grant the ability to request films to further the discussion. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to join the 100-year conversation. This is the Filmsteins, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience. All around you. And welcome back to another episode of the Filmsteins. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm joined today by my jolly friend, Lucy.
Hello, everyone.
Remember, you can join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for brand new episodes of the Filmsteins. Some recent episodes include Moonlight, If Beale Street Could Talk, Trolls Band Together, Brother Beer, and The Holdovers. But today we are discussing the 1951 classic. Is this a classic?
I guess it's a classic.
A Christmas Carol, directed by Brian Desmond Hurst. Never heard of this guy until this movie. Or the actor, Alistair Sim. He seems to be the reason why people like this movie.
Yeah, I bet both of these guys are dead.
Yes. I bet they are. I don't know.
You know?
There's some old guys.
There's some old guys. I'm not surprised we haven't heard of them.
Yes, but this is one of the canonical Christmas movies. This specific one. I feel like this is the one that people kind of put their eyes on as A Christmas Carol rendition.
I don't know. There's so many of them that I don't think that's a fair thing to say. There's so many.
Yeah, there are.
Adaptations. And even loose adaptations that I don't know. Because I'd never seen this before. I'd never seen the 1951 A Christmas Carol. And I'm a big Christmas movie.
Yeah, you're at least our local Christmas movie aficionado. Kind of like shark movies. Christmas movies and shark movies, that's your shit.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, interesting.
It seems that's probably the case because it was on TV a lot. And I know there's one from the 30s, and maybe the quality of the footage is just not good enough for TV today. I'm not sure if it's so. There may be something about it just being the first, in quotes, good one, and it's just kind of propagated from there and now forced down our throats to pretend to be the good one.
Yeah, there's something to be said there. Now on TV, do we even see this version of it?
From my sources, yes.
Who still goes to normal TV to watch their Christmas movies?
It's a good question.
Who still does that?
For everything.
Yes, for everything. But for topic today, who does that?
I don't know. It is a good question. You gotta imagine the TV industry in general is in the decline. So where do Christmas movies fit in on that? I wonder. I would be willing to bet this is a spike for TV and cable and satellite or whatever is the Christmas season.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe people flock to proper TV for exactly these kinds of things because they're just on marathon. You know, they go searching for them. They're all available. And people are really sensitive around this time. It's like, oh shit, Elf is on. God, I'm going to watch that for the 90th time. You know, the stop motion Rudolph movie, same thing. It's a terrible movie, but we're going to put it on for the 900th time. So people are sensitive around this time.
That's true. But A Christmas Carol, there's so many newer ones. Better ones, I'm not sure. That's up for debate, I guess. but there's so many newer ones. I mean, the Rudolph one, it's still the only Rudolph one that we know and we love.
Yeah.
Elf, classic. Has it ever been redone, reattempted?
Nope.
No. So I think this has been pushed back.
It's fair. It's fair. It probably, at least to, us Philistines, it probably is the most iterated upon Christmas story.
Yes.
And so that kind of brings me back to my, I guess, original point that maybe because it was the first so-called good one, it lives in this pioneering space like so many old movies do. So people look at it as it being really good, whether they've seen it or not, kind of thing. So, but yeah, I'm happy to report back that this movie is not very good. It's
rough.
It's rough. I don't know how. I didn't know. Man, I don't know how to say this without being completely rude. But I don't know if I've ever been so bored during a movie. At certain sections, at the very least. Especially the past section of the movie.
Wow.
This movie has probably... I can't say it's garbage, because it's just not garbage like, I don't know, the Divergent series or Bunny Man. It's just like there's a quality of... There's a certain je ne sais quoi of trash in those movies, and this doesn't quite have that. It has the very 50s thing, late 40s thing, of course, and I don't really like that acting style or all the static shots of everyone. It's really kind of I just glaze over big time. But this movie is rough to watch, and it's only 87 minutes. This movie feels like it's 3 hours. It's not even a proper animated film length. And those tend to be shorter.
Yeah, this movie felt a lot longer than it was. It was very slow, very boring. It didn't stand the test of time.
Man, I hate to hear it because you're the embodiment of Christmas joy.
Thank you. I try to be. And yeah, I'm so sorry this is a miss. And it's not that it's a black and white problem.
No, and I think about that while watching it, but I'm constantly reminding myself, but 12 Angry Men.
Yes.
But 12 Angry Men. Because I do face that. I think that might be an
Even
us
Gaslight.
problem. Even Gaslight, which is around the same time, a little older than this, I think.
So I don't think it was a black and white problem. I do appreciate how true it was to the source material, how much it represented what the source material said, but I just don't think it was a great cinematic adaptation of it. It was as bland as looking at the words.
Are you a fan of the original text?
Yeah, I like the story a lot. I don't even want to call it a book. It's a story.
A novella?
Yeah.
Short story. I'm not familiar with the text, but it seems like Disney may have done it best in its 30-minute run, 40-minute run with Scrooge McDuck. Trims all the fat. We get right to the point, right?
Yeah, the thing I like about the short story is that it's very haunting. It's very frightening. Just some of the things that Scrooge sees just scared the shit out of him. And there are very few versions of it that successfully do that. Yes, the Scrooge McDuck one is kind of cute. It's very brief. It tells you what you need to know. Ghost of Christmas Past, Present, and Future. But I feel like the Jim Carrey one, the 2009 Jim Carrey version, gives you the frightening tone that I think embodies the book.
I can see that
story.
I can totally see that just based off of the art style.
Yes.
So I don't know if I've ever seen the Jim Carrey one all the way through. We might have to watch that.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favorite version of this. A lot of them get too stuck on, and it's fair to get stuck on this, just the spirit of, Scrooge's growth and his empathy and compassion that he needs to have, and stop being such a Scrooge and embrace the spirit of Christmas. But it's missing a lot of the creepy elements that I think Charles Dickens meant to have.
I get that. I wish this would have explored that maybe a little bit more. Of course, it is a little difficult maybe for the times, and we get a little bit of weirdness coming out of certain bits, especially when the first spirit shows up, and that's probably my favorite part of the movie. It's probably the only part of the movie I really liked, actually. But I wish that creepy thing, just scary kind of shocking thing, may have been a little bit more of a focus, because it makes me think that that Scrooge is seeing these shocking things and terrifying things kind of to reflect back at him how people look at him. And so you get kind of a similar level of anxiety and emotion out of both sides, because there's not a Scrooge out there that could make, our Scrooge feel like Scrooge makes other people feel.
Yeah.
Right? So we need to go down a different route to make him face himself. So I would like that. That sounds right up my alley. But yeah, instead we get, look how terrible you are. Look how hollow you are, and just doesn't this, break your heart? It's like,
yes.
I mean,
I guess.
Yeah, because you're forcing me to see the love of my life re-break my heart, right? So it's like kind of manipulative on Scrooge, not for us, right? But I mean, I guess in some way, because we are seeing the world through Scrooge's eyes, whatever. But I feel you. Okay.
Yeah, I think when we first see Marley as a ghost to take him into the past, he lets out that scream, which is hilarious.
I know I had to make you watch it twice.
Yes.
I was just like, what?
And I almost thought we were going to have that little bit of eerie hauntingness with that scream. That was phenomenal. That was great. But that was it. That was the only part that was given those vibes. So they had something. They could have had something, especially with this actor. He did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think he's a great Scrooge.
Yes. Everyone else kind of was, maybe that's what they were missing. More supporting characters that really committed. It almost feels like this film was taking more of a melancholic approach than a frightening approach. Mainly with all the music they played. Just to feel sad. So you can feel happy in the end when he finally transforms. We're just missing the scariness. These are ghosts. He's getting visited by ghosts. Ghosts of his, not friend, but his business partner that's been dead for 7 years.
Yeah, and it almost feels like it's a little bit of a half measure, because he visits them when he's sleeping, right? He doesn't see them, or at least when the film kind of starts to wrap up, he wakes up, and then it's like, it's all just a dream kind of thing. It's just like, all right, well, that kind of deflates some of the spookiness.
Yep. What also deflates the spookiness is, I know this is the 1950s, but that last guy, the last ghost, which was, I guess, the Grim Reaper.
Lazy.
So bad. Did they just put a sheet over the guy?
So
Jesus.
bad.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I couldn't believe that. I was just...
Like the first ghost, okay, they just made him transparent. They just put a transparency filter on him. All right, I guess I can go with it. But
yeah, it's kind of the fading element of what isn't anymore, and things are just kind of in the past.
Yeah,
going away. Yeah, I'm sold on that.
Yeah, the last spirit that came to visit him. Oh my gosh, that was awful.
And then the stupid ass transitions, which again, it gets, I guess, a little bit of a pass of like, they're working with what they got, I guess, but it's one of the things that just doesn't hold up, like Mario 64. When he lifts his arm up, and he's got his cloak, the third spirit has got his cloak on, and then it changes scenes and everything. I'm just like, I cannot do this. This is terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, and just because of how terrible it was, it's a big miss on how Christmas movies are supposed to make you feel. They're supposed to make you feel just happy and giddy.
Is there something strange to say about the fact that I mean, maybe you don't feel this way. Maybe it's just a me problem. But but I feel like Christmas movies especially are bad. Like in general, not, there are obviously some exceptions to the rule, but I think there's just the genre of Christmas movie tends to attract a lot of terrible players.
Yeah, I don't know. Not as bad as comedy or as bad as horror. I think it might be up there, maybe the top 5 worst genre of film.
It's just because there's a lot of them, and so you see a lot of the bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like those, yeah. I hear that.
And it's also very repetitive. How many
like horror movies.
Yeah, like how many adaptations do we have of this, of A Christmas Carol? How many do we have on A Christmas Switch, when people switch bodies, or the princess switches places with the poor girl,
or the Grinch style character.
Grinch style? Yes, exactly. So you have these themes, not believing in Santa, that you work with, which causes a lot of just the same movies. One thing I can't get over is how people talked back then. And it hasn't been that long. 70 years? About?
Yeah.
But they talk so different.
Okay, this brings up a good question. Is this movie taking place at the time the book was written?
I don't think so. No. Because we see a sign in the movie that has 77. I don't know if it was 1777 or 1877. I don't know what 70. I saw a 77.
Okay. I guess I would guess 1877.
But I don't know. Could have been 1771.
Yeah, were they trying to emulate the dialect of the time? I was a little,
I don't know, because we saw a little bit of this in To Kill a Mockingbird. I had a bit of an issue with their dialect.
That's true, yeah.
And even some of the snippets of old-timey shit, they talk different.
Is there was there maybe just less so today, or is exercised in different ways because of the medium evolving? Was there just a little bit more of like a so-called Shakespearean adjacent kind of thing about filmmaking and theater or something? It's hard to say. I'm not of the time, but that's weird, right?
Yes, it's very weird. And I think even one of the little girls in here, you said she sounds like Minnie Mouse. Yeah. And she did.
She did. That's not how people sound.
No.
It was weird. That scene was weird too oh no, not that one. I was thinking of the one where it's during the future section where his housekeeper, his storekeeper, like talking about taking the bed sheets or whatever and everything. That was like
That was weird.
Long drug out section. I don't know what. Just a weird thing about this. Were you a little bothered by not knowing what Scrooge does? Like what his job is?
No.
Because I was like, especially in the future, or especially in the past section, because we got this several kind of sequential flashbacks of the past section, which took fucking forever. But it was probably only like 25 minutes, but it felt like forever. There was just such a focus on him working and displacing this passion to work into, just living to work, and, letting his love kind of fall to the back burner. And I don't know, it's like this is weird focus on his working life, and I'm just like, what does he do? What the fuck is he doing?
That's pretty funny, because he's obviously not something that requires passion. He's not an artist that's like, no, screw Christmas, I must draw. And he's not a doctor. I have to save lives. Whatever his profession is doesn't even fit that mindset of I have to pour everything into my profession. But it says here that he's a money lender, which I think this is just given to him to bring out that greedy side.
Sure.
But I don't know about money lenders, but I'm sure they can I don't know. How hard do they work? Can they afford a day off for Christmas? Because Scrooge made it seem like
he was running Microsoft or something. Like he's
yes, or that he worked at a warehouse and nobody was gonna get their Christmas on times if they didn't put in the overtime.
Yes, like this time of the season, time of the year is probably prime time for everyone else to take off in varying capacities, and I think for the most part, if people aren't working, if the economy isn't really at full capacity, Scrooge also isn't at full capacity because he's kind of a middleman worker where he's really at the mercy of how the economy's doing. So he has the perfect job to take a little time off, take it easy. This is, of course, you gotta call your boys together and then go beat someone up to get your money here and there. And that might happen on Christmas, but no one's coming to take loans out. This time of the year, they would have already done that. It's weird.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I'd never given that much thought to what his occupation could be.
Well, they focused on it. I was just like, he's getting better at it. This guy was like, I'm gonna pay you twice as much to come work for me and do what exactly? And then at the very end, it really hit it home with me where he was like, I'm gonna give you a raise, the guy that works for him in like current time, and he was, his employee was like, oh, thank you so much. And then Scrooge was like, go put some more coal on the fire. It's just like, is that his job? Why would he do, like, is he your custodian, dude? Does he keep the place check? Is he I don't know. That was weird.
That's funny.
Because it made what he does even stranger. Because he has, like, butler type figures. He's that housekeeper around, and I'm just so confused. And he was in a position to double her pay too. And it's like, what? I mean, I guess that's kind of a neat little detail because he was in a position to pay her relatively way more.
Yeah.
So I was a little bothered by that. I sure was.
Yeah, and we have that scene where the other company is going out of business. I guess they're going bankrupt. And this is, I guess, in the past section. And Marley and Scrooge have the money to basically buy him out and get a 51% of whatever they profit. But even then, it's not explained what they do. It's just, well, they have so much money, they're in this position to be able to do that. But yeah, your job's not that important, Scrooge. Like, specifically your job, not the general you. Doctors, I mean, I appreciate them working on Christmas for sure. And paramedics, police officers, whoever.
Yeah, his job is not necessary.
But not your job.
At 24/7. He's not like a police officer or whatever. It would be kind of funny if we had a Scrooge story through the eyes of a like post office man. Where we gotta get these packages out, but he doesn't want to, but he has to or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sure it's been done. How did you feel about the performances and actors we have for specific roles? For example, in the past, we have a Scrooge that is supposed to represent a schoolboy.
That was weird.
That was weird.
It was so weird.
He looked old as fuck.
I was like, I think you said he's supposed to be a schoolboy, and I was like, no.
This dude's in his 30s.
I don't know what that was about. That must have been very of its time, too, where of course we have kids, proper 7-year-olds and youngers and stuff running around, but like when you get into young adult life, you just hire adults to play. We still experience some of that here, right, today. And that you hear about that with like Shakespeare productions where they hire men to play women and kids or adults to play kids. And
yeah.
So it's something.
But then we have Tiny Tim.
Who,
by the way, was he disabled enough for you?
So his leg was just broken?
Yeah, he's crippled.
For like until the doctors can fix it kind of thing.
forever.
Or did a miracle happen?
And then a miracle happened.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because Mr. Scrooge decided to be a compassionate and caring person and was able to afford to pay Tiny Tim's dad more money, making them happier. I don't know where where it changes, what happens in this order that changes Tiny Tim's body composition, but yes, it was a Christmas miracle. He just didn't look disabled enough for me.
No, I mean, he looked like he had a broken leg.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, is he supposed to be...
What are you about to say?
Is he supposed to be a vegetable kind of thing? Like, he can walk, he can talk, but he's just completely incoherent and needs assistance and stuff?
I think he's just supposed to be not able to use his legs.
Period. So he crawls around?
I think his dad picks him up.
Okay. Because I guess I'm not familiar with the story itself. Is there a Tiny Tim type character in the Disney McScrooge one?
I think there is.
Okay.
I don't know if there is a Tiny Tim type character now that I think about it, but I'm sure there is. I mean, that is the second person you think of when you think of A Christmas Carol. You think Scrooge, then you think Tiny Tim.
Man, I didn't even know Tiny Tim was in this movie.
That's hilarious. Because he's so central to his change.
Yeah. In
the future.
I thought Tiny Tim was the drummer boy. You know what I'm talking about? It's like rum rum dum dum, drummer boy coming.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Like Little Boy Drummer?
Is that what it's called?
I think so. But no, when Scrooge sees his death in the future, that is a pivotal point for him to completely change his heart. So he's very, very crucial. So I'm sure there's a version of him in the Scrooge McDuck. We're going to have to watch that too. That's probably like, what, 15 minutes?
Yeah. He probably could have been more crippled.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Because I didn't really get the impression that he was permanently crippled, I guess. That would have helped. I didn't get the Christmas miracle thing. I got that. I guess his dad could pay for health insurance all of a sudden.
They could get a cast on him and fix his leg. I know there was a TV show sometime in maybe 2019, 2020 that I wanted to watch. I think I watched the first episode and it kind of bored me. But I felt like that TV show would have been the creepiness I needed from this story. So I hope there's more out there that I just haven't seen.
Yeah, it probably will have to be something a little more modern. Because it seems like there's a little bit of a resistance for Christmas to tap into horror. Because it seems like, again, kind of a funny crossover, but horror Christmas movies tend to be cream of the crop of terrible. Like Krampus.
That one wasn't bad. That one scared the shit out of me. You're telling me it wasn't meant to? Because it did.
It's a little bit of a comedy horror, I think.
Oh, well.
So.
And we don't need the horror. We don't need the blood, the screaming. We just need it to kind of
make you uneasy.
Make you uneasy, yeah.
I was thinking, I hate to say this, because I hate for someone like Roger Eggers to waste his time on something like this, but I could see a proper creepy Roger Egger film come out of this, from like by the guy who did The Witch and Lighthouse. Or there's something really authentic about the dialect and just the world, but there's just this underlying uneasiness about everything. And we can maybe even throw in something a little more supernatural than just the ghosts. Something a little more hellish. But like not...
Well, don't forget, we still need to come back to the Christmas miracle. So you don't want to leave us in total despair. I don't want to be unsettled for life.
Yeah, I don't know if he's capable of that.
You still need to bring back the aww.
The ending parts of his movies are the most fucked up parts. So I don't know.
Yeah, he's not the guy. He's not the guy.
We can get someone else to direct the end there. But I could see something working like that. That would be, because there's something very northeastern about this, and his movies have very northeastern feel about them too. And I think that'd be a cool mix. But again, he should put his time anywhere but into a seasonal movie, you know. Although there's an eternal lesson to learn here, and it's appreciate the people around you a little bit more.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dickhead.
Yeah.
For sure. And that's something people can't learn enough. But it is kind of coded in that lack of Christmas spirit kind of garb. Or at least this one is. This one is. I want to bring it up more often, like the Letterboxd score. I wanted to get a kind of gut feeling of what the general consensus says to you, because it's really surprising to me sometimes. Probably half the time it's really surprising, so I want to bring it up more. But on Letterboxd, I guess first of all, I appreciate this because the first release of this was in the UK and it went by the name Scrooge, and that's what's listed on Letterboxd. I like that. We know it here as A Christmas Carol, of course.
Mm-hmm. But
the overall consensus is a 3.8 out of 5.
That's me spitting out water.
That's crazy high, isn't it?
That is ridiculously high.
That's why I picked this one, because it seems to be the most favored and the most popular, just in general. It seems to be the most cited, and it's one of those things, like we've talked about many times.
Why?
Does it have anything to do with the early nature of what it was doing at the time? You know, that pioneering thing is not... It doesn't keep a movie alive in the prettiest form. Like, it's... You know, there's a natural wear and tear on these things. And some things are just a little more impervious to others. Like, the original Mario is always going to outshine Mario 64, even though they're 15 years apart, you know? And that's because what each are trying to achieve, and one just captures something perhaps a little more primitive, but it captures it in a much more permanent way. You know, there's something to say about influence and pioneering, but I don't understand why it seems to guarantee lifelong praise, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Like, thank you, A Christmas Carol, 1951.
That transition was nuts.
Yes.
The hourglass.
Oh God. The costumes. Okay. You know, thank you. So, thank you for your walk so others could run. But that doesn't mean we need to applaud you every time.
Yeah, it means you'll always be a footnote.
Yeah.
You know, that's fine too. Read David Foster Wallace. Half of all of his books are footnotes. They're not even the main text. So there's something to be said about that, but
yeah, people are definitely confusing it.
We need a better vocabulary with that, how we look at these things, for sure. And that goes for every art form, every medium, for sure.
Yeah, but that 3.8 is it's way too high.
It's ridiculously high.
I'd give it a 1, and that's just for that scream.
Oh, just for the scream. Yeah, it was.
And the performance.
The performance is, and some of the writing I feel like is pretty decent, especially coming out of Scrooge. I like the way he talks and stuff, because he's so fucking just.
But a lot of that is straight from the source material.
Oh, they're quoting.
They're almost quoting. I haven't picked up the book in a while, but I'm pretty sure a lot of this is straight from the book.
Okay. See, that does hurt the film in the small ways I can appreciate it. It reminds me of Passion of the Christ. What's a Christ? Find out on our episode. Where if you liked the writing of the Passion of the Christ, it's kind of disingenuous because it's not the writing of the Passion of the Christ. It's the Bible, I guess. For what I'm told, at least. I guess don't quote me on that. Unless you want to. But that's that I run into the problem of it wanting to be a 1 or a 1.5 out of 5. and I'm comparing it to some other ones, I'm just like, it's not a terrible production, but I also wasn't as bored as I was like in Transformers. I wasn't bored in Transformers like I was here.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, in Transformers is fucking terrible.
Speak for yourself.
Or Little Mermaid. I wasn't bored in Little Mermaid.
I was
like I was
hella
here.
bored. I was more bored in Little Mermaid than I was here.
Damn.
For sure.
Damn.
I didn't pull out my phone during this like I did Little Mermaid.
Well, man, that was a watch. That was a movie, wasn't it?
Yes.
Thank you for taking the time and watching it with me and talking about it here today.
Thank you for another Christmas movie.
Do you have a budget guess?
I do, but I don't know. I have less than 500,000, but I don't know if I'm counting for inflation. I have no idea. No clue whatsoever. I was going to say like $3, but I know that's not right.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, unsurprisingly, there's really no conclusive budget online.
Mm.
I have no idea if that's. I would imagine that would first start as 500,000 for the 1950s. So, but good job, good guess.
Thank you.
And there's no box office numbers there. It's not. I guess it wasn't as tracked maybe as tightly as it is today. So.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, thank you again. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Filmsteins. This was a interesting talk. I like watching these old movies that are revered. I'll admit, some of them are hard to get through. To Kill a Mockingbird was similarly not very good, although I like the movie more than this one.
Yep. It almost makes you appreciate 12 Angry Men a little more the more we watch.
Yeah. When did 12 Angry Men come out? I think 1954, just a couple years after this. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
It's incredible. And, to the credit of all the others, I guess, 12 Angry Men took place, for the most part, in one room. But that also makes it, at the same time, that much more interesting because it took place in the same room. What? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Go check out our episode. It's a very flattering episode. Yeah. But thank you guys again for listening to this episode of the Filmsteins. Remember, you can catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for brand new episodes over on Patreon, Spotify, Pandora, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Remember to leave nice reviews, comments, likes, etc., etc.
Hugs, kisses.
All the goods.
All the goods.
But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmsteins. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives on the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmsteins, signing off.
I'm broken.